So I don't want to explore this right now, but I want to hit you with a concept here.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe you want to verify that it was the experience that you had. I think that this was the horniest Hallmark movie I've ever seen.
It kind of was a horny Hallmark movie, which is amazing because I think the real vision that this movie had was making sure that fewer people died in avalanches. I think that's what they were most interested in. But yes, there was a lot of ambient sex particles per scene than I was used to. I was scandalized.
I wasn't scandalized by the horniness or anything in it.
Oh my God. Well, speak for yourself. I'm trad now, by the way.
I did not care for the fact that like it immediately switched over to a certain Beavis terrarium in the ancestral mind or I don't know, the antique version of your mind. It rattled that enough that what would normally have just been tedious Hallmark obliviousness made it seem like cognizant of the existence of horniness enough that like everything else was turned on that way, right? Like everything was just at that Beavis frequency, which made stuff that would normally just seem problematic from a why are you inducing further injury with your callousness, it made lines like this very difficult.
And when your probe hits something squishy in there, you got Steve.
Well, you've got Steve now. You've got all of Steve.
Now, what are you going to do about that?
It's all right. That's enough.
You know what time of year it is? It's Christmas time. I gotta tell you something real about Christmas. Fuck you if you don't like Christmas. Fuck you if you don't like Christmas. Yeah, that's right. It's not even about Jesus. It's about the holiday. You gotta respect the holiday.
Broadcasting from Broadcasting from the beautiful Uncanny Valley, right?
Yeah, Jeff, you're broadcasting from the beautiful Uncanny Valley. Can you turn your radio down, please?
So what I want to know is the Angel Jason Giambi?
It's crazy. All right, cut him off. He waited he waited for 2 hours to ask me if the Angel was Jason Giambi. Okay. Giambi hasn't appeared in the Hallmark universe since 2009.
It's Christmas Town with Dave and Jeb.
With Jeremy and Jason.
You source for highlights and analysis of the films of the Hallmark Network.
It's Christmas Town with Mike and the Mad Dog.
The movie's made for the gentlest of people.
Mikey, these aren't movies that are made for people that are, Jets fans.
I am Jeb Lund, a person who died in a science accident, and joining me is the masseur who's going to crush my bones to make his bread, David Roth.
Hey.
Merry Christmas, David.
Merry Christmas, Jeb. You're holding a lot of tension here.
Yeah, this was an odd movie.
I didn't think so.
No, what makes you say that? What
It's
felt
one of the most conventional movies I've ever seen. Now it is.
What felt the most normal about it to you?
How much safety tips there was.
There weren't enough and in specific enough terminology to make them civilly liable. I don't think this movie was trying to be that responsible.
I was surprised. There's a disclaimer before it starts. It's not financial advice.
Everyone's delivery in this movie is like a table read. This isn't like first take stuff. This feels like pre-take delivery. And that's something that really led to when we talk about the Voight-Kampff test and when we talk about overdeterminacy. I want to keep that in mind. Like, I want that to underline everything I'm about to say when we come out of the next break.
Mm-hmm.
Everything sounds like they wanted a first take so pure in its first takery that nobody saw the script until right before they shot the scene, because people are hitting deliveries that seem so, what I would assume now is like an AI, except like apparently those people blend in beautifully on Reddit, and that seems to be fundamentally more human and capable of matching expectations, because these are just brutal line reads that everybody should have had a chance to take another whack at, and why you wouldn't run with those.
Yeah.
Because like it's
bizarre.
Clearly bits where they can hit it just fine, but like, man.
It's certainly one of those. I don't even think that you can see that there's like choices getting made right or wrong. I think you're right. It does have that feeling of like You know when like Trump is reading a speech and it's clear he's reading it for the first time and he like reads a part of it that he likes and then he stops and is like, oh, that's actually very true. Like there's a lot of this where there are moments where it does feel, like you said, like a first read, but then also one of those things where they're like, you can see the actors starting to figure out what they would want to do with a line or a moment, but you can see them starting to figure it out and then you're on to the next scene. Like there isn't a sense of any of this really being refined over the course of it. I think the most natural and best performance in it is the child. It's Samantha. Yes. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. There's a whole Moppetry segment, and that's on me.
That's right. It is on him.
It's a very strange film. This is a throwback. I mean, it's from 2023.
I know. That's surreal.
This feels like one of the Hallmark movies that we watched in the early going where you're just kind of like, no one involved has ever seen a movie before, but they were thrown together on a set, told to make one, and given $100,000 with which to make it.
Fundamentally mistook what is antagonism and what is sexual or emotional insecurity. That was, this had real, like the early Candy Cams one where she gets on the plane with the easel and she works for Modern Bride magazine.
I believe it's Radiant
Bride, right.
Yeah.
And then gets trapped in like Buffalo with whomever that guy was.
Paul Green, I think.
Yeah. At full smarm.
Yeah, in the same way that it just had that kind of like, well, you guys are just shooting this at different parts of the Radisson Hotel where you're all staying. That's what the movie's going to be. And the answer in this case is yes, that is what the movie is going to be. Set at a national park. There is some outdoor stuff.
You know, for the record, we watched Love in Glacier.
I don't think
National
it's time
Park
to do this.
From 2023.
Let's not tell them. Let's tell them later. Let's tell them with like 10 minutes left in the pod what movie it is.
But say it like The Aristocrats, right? Like,
yes, there it is. I think the listeners love the razzmatazz. They love the build. Yes, Love in Glacier National Park. Sorry about that.
We should just tell people what happened.
I guess that's probably for the best. We can talk more about what tradition this fits into and the strange series of Hallmark movies that it was in. But in order for everyone to understand why Jeb and I are so confused, we should lay out what happens in the movie.
I think, unfortunately, and weirdly, you're going to have more on your plate than normal, I think, by quite a bit. But I believe it's your turn.
I'm a man of science, and I'm happy to put my theories to the test here in the ultimate crucible, trying to remember what happened in a movie I watched earlier today. All right, I'll start.
Shit, I'm sorry. I need to do the cast rundown because that's going to take some off your plate. I don't like to use...
We forgot how to do the podcast.
The word. Yeah, we did. So we watched Love in Glacier National Park from 2023. It stars Ashley Newborough.
It's a bruh moment.
As Dr. Heather Lawrence.
Right? The bruh moment.
A seismologist of snow, whatever. It's probably the same, right? And then Stephen Huszar as Chris Parker. Tegan Moss as Riley. That's Dr. Heather Lawrence's sister. Tegan Vincha as Sonya, a Scarlet woman, a masseuse of the night, if you will.
All right.
Devin Alexander
is highly sexualized.
Chief seismographer of Glacier National Park, who is somehow affiliated with a 5-star resort. And Amelie Wolf as Samantha. And that's Chris Parker's, he's single, ladies. That's his daughter. An elder Moppet, a preteen Moppet, but a Moppet.
Yeah.
So that's it. That's who we have. David, can you give us a 1-minute tour of what they do in this movie?
I'm going to do my best. Are you ready to start timing me?
Absolutely. Fire away.
So, Dr. Heather, seismologist of snow, as Jeb said. She has built an algorithmic model that predicts when and where avalanches are going to occur. And she is taking it to Glacier National Park to help out her college buddy, Devin, who is... as Jeb said, in charge of some stuff there. But she runs into some static with Chris, who leads the avalanche rescue team there at the park. He doesn't believe in models. He believes in doing things the old-fashioned way. In fact, he thinks that science has nothing to offer to the field of preventing avalanches. Despite the fact that he's a turd about that, they draw closer together because they're the most attractive people in the movie. Her sister, Riley, who is trying to have a kid through in vitro fertilization, is there waiting for results, and she encourages Chris and Heather to get closer together. They do. Finally, at the end, very close to the end, it's revealed that Chris's love of his life was killed when a bad algorithmic projection led to her dying in an avalanche. But he trusts Heather when the chips are down, They make a rescue, they don't get avalanched, and they kiss at the end.
Wow.
Did I get it in under...
Okay.
Did I get it at the 69-second multiplier? Because that sounds like
That's right.
Is this because I'm a lesbian?
Feels amazing. Well, you know what? I do have a few remarks prepared. Nobody believed in me. When I started out and I was just saying the names of all the characters in a leisurely way, everybody was like, what's he doing? Trust me. I know what I'm fucking doing. I've watched 600 of these movies. I did leave some stuff out. You want to pick me up? I think I did get I more or less covered the bases though, right?
You covered, pretty much everything except two things. So Samantha, the daughter, she winds up training the canines that they use in Avalanche Back Trail or whatever it's called, rescue. And she started doing that because her mom made a series of instructional videotapes. I'm going to say videotapes. And she discovered them when she was 6. And then she began training the dogs in her mother's way. And so that's why she's so valuable to Chris and also why they're inseparable because they kind of work together too.
Yeah.
And then the other one is that Tegan Vinch's Sonya, a Scarlet Woman.
Red Sonya.
She improbably and like just sort of staggeringly for a Hallmark film foists herself on Chris and tries to insert herself in the family. She just goes, the power's out at my place. I'm going to have to stay here because you're a friend and I need help. And then she's like, oh, so you wanted me to sleep on the couch. Okay.
Yeah. I thought that if I invited myself over to the house where you live with your child and I brought my pajamas, that we would have sex.
Especially after
evidently that's not the case.
Won your daughter over with the idea of a makeover because you were instructing her in the value of you're applying Plumper. Yeah.
They're calling it the worst app available for your phone.
I was never expecting to hear that in any context.
No.
In a Hallmark film.
This is another one of those things where you're going back to that like 2016 vintage of Hallmark where you're like, you just don't know what the rules are here. Like if you want to set up a romantic rival for our female lead, that's fine. That's kind of a classic movie thing. You want to give her red hair? That's fine. You want to put her in a red ski suit and have her challenge the heroine to a cross-country ski race?
A red ski suit that you train the camera on distinctly on her ass. In a red ski suit where I'm afraid
Feels like I'm wearing nothing at all.
Yeah.
Nothing at all. Nothing at all.
She was in stupid, sexy Flanders mode in that scene in a way that I had not seen in a Hallmark movie. This is where I think your comment about this movie being horny is correct. Like we've seen movies where we've seen many movies where there's more chemistry between the leads and where you're kind of like, these actors actually seem like they want to kiss each other. And that's fine. That's like something that people have watched movies for as long as people have made movies. That was not the case in this one. This one is like sort of omnidirectionally horny. Like it has like a 13-year-old's vision of horniness where you're just kind of like, the world is just a bunch of butts that you can look at and like feel weird about, but you don't know what anybody does with any of the parts that you're looking at.
This is what I meant about rattling that Beavis terrarium and the ancestral mind of like, oh yeah, I remember where everything would be interpreted that way. Like the way that somebody like a gentleman in the medieval era could look at any object and be like, how is that like Christ being crucified?
Yeah.
You're doing that about sex. Like, yes, that just set the whole atmosphere here.
In a very unsexy way. Like this is like about sex in the same way that saying that's what she said is about sex. But it has a similar sort of valence to it. Like it's a weird movie, man. I'm going to be honest with you. I didn't love it. I did feel more wrong-footed by it than I have by one of these in a minute. We've been on a good streak of watching movies that were passably movie-esque. We have turned it back to zero. We're ready to start fresh. I don't really know where to begin with this. I feel like a lot of the categories kind of aren't going to work.
They don't.
Because this movie is like 1/3 a training video for like what to do if you're in an avalanche prone area.
Yes.
Which is useful, but it is again new to me as a film experience.
Yeah. It's 1/3 Beavis joke or being trapped in Beavis after doing like a being John Malkovich thing, but it's being Beavis.
Yeah.
Really labored metaphor, I think. So it's 1/3 that, 1/3 training video, and then 1/3 like, I guess the other thing we didn't really cover is the sister finds out like, you are not pregnant. And then that's it.
Yeah.
Like we spend no time on pity for her, even though we do spend this terrifyingly cringe moment in front of a waiter where they're talking about her husband's swimmers moving up further into her.
Yeah. So swimmers, that's the first time we've heard that term in a Hallmark movie, right?
Yeah. And
so I didn't care for that.
Yeah. Like, for instance, there's this bit where she's saying to the waiter,
"Hey in there, little Charlie swimmers. If you can hear me, just head north. Find those eggs and settle in. You can do it. I know you can do it."
Don't mind her. She's just directing my husband's swimmers, if you know what I mean.
And I'm not going to say that this was shouted in the house after that happened. I would say more like erupted. No one should know what you mean.
Yeah. Not in the restaurant.
Like, and not in like when it's about a girl's parts, it's gross. But like this, just don't implicate me in your life that way. I do not want the responsibility of bearing an emotion toward you about that. And it's not me being miserly. It's just, that's just too big for me for what we have.
Yep. And for this scenario,
which is extremely casual.
Yes. I think that's well said. I didn't want to make it be like, oh, it's gross to try to have a baby this way. That's fine. That's as good a way to have a baby as I can think of. I just don't think that that's something, that's not busboy chatter.
Right.
It's rude to the busboy.
This is a character that has no name in the IMDb cast rundown. It's still waiter. If he's not important enough to dignify with a name, you can't entrust him with like, so right now we're really hoping that my husband's ejaculate takes root in me because we are on our last round of this incredibly expensive and difficult in vitro process. Like, no.
That is an interesting, the IVF thing, and we're going to have to talk about it because the rest of the movie is not very interesting. It is interesting that is, I believe, the first time we've seen that concept in the Hallmark universe. The fact that it's shown not working and Riley being kind of sad is very strange. But it is also, again, one of those things where there's a bunch of stuff in here. I think climate change is mentioned in this movie.
Yep.
A lot of stuff where you're kind of like, there's nods in the direction of real world concerns and like actual existing adult experiences in a way that I feel like in the abstract, you got to tip your cap because it's not, any Hallmark movie that is not solely people having a marshmallow eating contest and then kissing at the end is like, all right, good for you. Thanks for trying something new. But the way that stuff is handled is, again, like extremely strange. Like it has that like old primitive Hallmark feel where it's like, it feels like the writer and director just found out about this stuff. And we're like, all right, well, that's got to be in the movie, right? Like, doesn't that belong in the Arctic Rescue movie that we're doing?
Yes, that's actually really close to what I'd been thinking, which was, I don't know if you know the story of like why the first season of Star Trek: The Next Generation was so wildly uneven, but it was like they didn't have the budget for really good new stuff, and Gene Roddenberry still had the rights to all this old stuff. So it's like you would get the episode, and this is the really notorious one with the space white slavers and Tasha Yar talking about growing up on the planet of rape gangs. And then there's like a ship's counselor. So on one hand, it's like nobody updated this from 1966. And then but we do have a therapist here for anyone who needs it.
Yeah, this movie does feel kind of, I wouldn't have come up with a Star Trek: The Next Generation comp. That's why they pay you the big bucks.
Yes, they do.
But
no,
but
they don't.
Is, yeah, I mean, you should get paid the big bucks.
Mm-hmm.
Not a lot of people's brains would have done that. But there is a lot of stuff going on in this where you're just sort of like, things that are sort of catty corner to each other within a movie that don't make no damn sense.
No, I appreciate what you're trying. I genuinely do. But you
got to remember that you're making a movie. So everybody's going to be watching that movie.
Whose load-bearing structure can hold only one of those, I think. And you're trying with like 8.
Well, look, is it a completely successful film? No. But did it get the word swimmers into the Hallmark universe? Yeah.
Am I glad that I ultimately went with this after having passed over the one where one character was an archaeologist and the other one was ancestrally Anasazi and they were excavating the culture and making breakthroughs? No, but also
no.
Yes. Having seen how they handle avalanches, I am so glad that we don't have to talk about what happens to a civilization and why.
This is another crucial bit of context, is that this film is part of a seemingly short-lived, almost all of the movies were released in 2023.
Mm-hmm.
A little Hallmark sub-series called A National Park Romance, and they had a couple of them set in, so the one that you were talking about, I think is Love in Zion National Park.
Yes.
It's unclear what role the National Park Service necessarily played in any of them. This movie, for instance, was not shot at Glacier National Park. It was shot in British Columbia.
Absolutely.
Which is corny to me. I can't stand it. I think they did, I'm just looking at the exterior shots advertising some of these other movies, and they do some of them seem to have had some exterior shot in actual national parks. And then also, that is not the only one of them that dealt with Native American issues. There's also Love in the Smoky Mountains that involves, apparently, this was, according to a positive review of that film at the website Decider, there was like, at one point, a Native American character explains the Trail of Tears to the white male and white female leads, and they're like, damn, that's crazy. So obviously it could be weirder and worse, but it does also seem like an attempt in a kind of a classic Hallmark way to engage with things that are real,
right,
and to celebrate some sort of like American thing that theoretically everybody would be able to agree upon. We can talk more about how this movie redounds in an era where national parks and the National Park Service is getting cut by some incredible amount for no reason that anybody can parse. But the idea of national park themed romantic comedies to air on the Hallmark Channel is not appreciably daffier than any of the other series that we've encountered in this space. I don't think.
No. And like, I can see in that, like, watching a dad in an older movie trying to do a rap song and talking about, I don't know, white responsibility for race relations. You're like, I'm glad that this exists, but I wish we had taken another path.
Yeah. You and I, certainly, as people who can choose what movie we watch, made a mistake.
Yes. Although I do want to say, like, I am madder at the fact that this was just so horny, I guess, because I didn't have to watch like a marginalized and like exploited civilization trivialized for the sake of also looking good with stock footage of national parks. But they ought to call this Love with Glacier National Park, because that's the kind of crossover we're talking about here. None at all.
Yeah. It is an interesting but uneven trade that the idea of like some brief thumbnail Hallmarkified understanding of the genocide of Native Americans in the United States, that's just being replaced with like a va-va-voom-ish massage therapist who is like absolutely trying to smash. That's a weird deal. That is, I can't even tell which direction it's lopsided in, but that is the choice. Like, basically, that's what we got, the one that had that instead of the Trail of Tears. But it does seem like those are occupying the same space in the story.
Let's take a break. So as David alluded before we reached the break eventually, this movie is not really going to work for a lot of our custom segments, but just out of a sense of like anchoring ourselves to a formula when this thing does not, we're just going to go ahead and do them. The first one is Spot the Angel.
That's very Hallmark of us, I feel like.
I don't want to say homage because I know that we haven't really gamed this out to be 100% faithful, but I would say a nod.
It is. It's a respectful nod in the direction of all of these movies that are made by numbers and quite casually.
Number one, Spot the Angel,
yes,
where we watch until the first act break and see if anybody is angelic according to the rules we've come to expect, either religious, secular, Santa, or just two instrumentals of the plot. I say no.
Yep. Moving on. I mean, to a certain extent, Eric does bring everybody together. Like, he is the reason that Heather is on the mountain. But no, it's not that type of movie. And if there were an angel in it, the angel would be much more obvious than this.
Now, despite this one being set at a supposed 5-star resort, we do not get a lot of food. You would expect that would be an opportunity to really show it out, but this is much more in the atavistic. We shot all of this at a Radisson setting that Dave alluded to earlier. So there's not a lot of food. I really only think
there's
like
a lot of hot cocoa.
Yeah.
Which is not a food. It is, I mean, it's part of the Hallmark food pyramid. It's the thing you actually have to have the most of.
Yeah.
It's where whole grains are in the actual food pyramid is hot cocoa with whipped cream. The one food bit that I enjoyed is that there's a gala for the avalanche rescue team where there's an auction happening during it. And just during the shots around the different tables at the gala, there's some real fucked up looking drinks being enjoyed by everybody. Like just what looks like a big goblet full of high C in the hands of like an older man in formal wear. I always like it when that happens in Hallmark movies where they just kind of the troubles of the world vis-a-vis red or white wine really slip away here when everybody is just getting their drink freshened with new hot cocoa or topped with whipped cream, the way that someone might shave Parmesan over something that you're eating in an Italian restaurant.
It's such a strange movie, and consistent with everything else about it. We see wine within, I think, 10 minutes. She's having wine while her sister is talking about her husband's swimmers. But of course, the wine is that muscatel? Or, like, what are you having here? And then at same moment where they're panning around the whole gala audience, right? Like there's somebody drinking orange drink, like straight up, like this is maybe the Hallmark debut of Sunkissed.
Yeah, it does have that look of like Sunny Delight is served at this banquet.
Yes. But then, of course, when we come back to our heroines, and that's Dr. Heather and daughter Samantha, they're having root beer floats with 2 inches of whipped cream, and they're having them in highball glasses.
Yeah. Long kind of goblets. I guess like the way that you would get served a pint of beer at an airport bar.
Yes.
Like it wouldn't be in a pint glass, it would be in a cylinder.
It's like Tom Collins-y.
It's not handed an Erlenmeyer flask full of root beer float.
You get a yard of beer at the airport and it's $19, and it turns out to just be like shot glass width and a yard tall.
Yep.
Like, this is like 15 ounces.
Positively full of barks.
The only other food that we have mentioned is that Eric, the guy who is head of the U.S. Geological Survey or the resort, but also he's talking to his guys at Grand Tetons and Bear's Ears and something else, maybe Whistler as well. I can't remember.
Yep. Yeah, even Whistler is mentioned in there.
Even Whistler.
A non-national park that is not located in the United States.
Yes. Well done. Eric is, he says, hey, before we get down to business with this meeting here, I made some banana croissant.
Mm-hmm.
And just as your mind reels, and he's insisting it's pretty good, he mentions that they're much better than the peanut butter ones from last week. And then that hangs in the air like, I don't want to say. And then he says, okay, I'll feed them to the dogs and we'll get back to it.
Well, look, it's another classic Hallmark thing too, where they are taking familiar forms and then making them impossible. Like the vision of baking in Hallmark movies, which is totally opposite to the vision of baking in the real world as it exists, which is just like, just try some shit. Just put some M&Ms in it. What are you going to do? What's it going to not work? It's a cookie. Everybody loves cookies. That with croissants, which seem very hard to me. Like you're a pretty serious baker. You're not doing laminated pastries at home, are you?
No. And like I don't have the butter budget for it. I think it's like one stick per croissant. So it's.
Yeah. And that's before you even get into the cost of bananas in today's economy.
It is like the lobster taleggio of breakfast
food. It's fully lobster taleggio mode, but something that you could serve at brunch. It is briefly like when that's the first briefing that Heather is giving the team, and you see Chris take one bite of the banana croissant, kind of cough and choke, and then just leave the room.
Yes.
And, in the movie, it's, sort of establishing like this guy's he's not here for this science shit. But in another more specific sense, it is underlining that Eric should not be permitted to bake.
It's a twin thing. I think it's Eric not being permitted to bake, and what they think is that, he's not going to hear this nonsense. But what is conveyed through the bulk of the movie, very much back in that the Radiant Bride one, episode 3 or 5 or whatever, what is just mean. It's just like he's too much of an asshole to just sit and listen to a professional, give her professional pitch. Like, this is somebody who clearly got a doctorate. She's done enough work. You ought to give her the courtesy. She's not telling you not to get vaccinated, although that is the vibe that you give off.
Yes. It underlines and establishes the exact wrong things, which, again, I think is great.
Also, just speaking, as long as we're talking medically here, the only other thing I really thought of for Eat Your Heart Out, even though it's not food, I didn't know where else to put it. There's a part where Heather is looking for an aspirin because Sonya, in her jealousy, has just brutalized her for an hour's massage. And then Chris is like, I'll tell you what, come to my office. I've got some there. And he hands her 2 tablets and he says, take one tonight and one tomorrow morning. And I'm sorry, but that's not how it works.
That's not how it works. Also, he's not a doctor.
Yeah.
Why are you giving somebody advice like that? At least like she went to the trouble of working out an algorithm to predict when an avalanche might happen. The idea of being like, well, I've worked on this mountain for 15 years and I think I know how to use aspirin. It's just, I think you got to do better than that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that type of dialogue in this movie, like stuff that's kind of like space-filling nonsense that is like it would be weird that they're filling that space with dialogue, even if the dialogue were normal, but it is not normal.
Yeah, that's fair. So this next one, I would also maybe accuse of being filler, is the Hallmark Expanded Universe. And we are going to see where this film has overlapped with other films that we have seen in that and vice versa. I feel like the word Denver was involved for yours. It implicitly is from mine. But what did you have?
Yeah, I mean, it's that. It's from the Colorado, the Rocky Mountain time zone family of Hallmark brands.
Yes.
Glacier National Park is in Montana, not in Colorado. But it has that kind of feeling. The one bit of acting that I think that Stephen Huszar brings to this is that he does like a ski guy voice.
Yes.
Like it's not a California accent. It's like a mountain person accent. And not in a like hills have eyes sort of way. I mean, just like a guy who skis all the time. Like if you snowboard for 1,000 hours in your life, you will sound the way that he sounds in this.
Right. And this factors into the plausibility of the bantering for me. He's not an unattractive man, but something about the voice, and he has this sort of flattened yet weirdly upturned nose that just sort of scans as porcine when paired with the voice. It's not like, here's a fun guy on the slopes. It's like, this is the worst iteration of dude within this silo or vertical.
You know what it is, and this is not his fault. He is Canadian. It's a hockey energy.
Mm.
And that's fine if you're playing hockey, but it is, there's no warmth there and very little charmth, and the voice necessarily that does detract from it a little bit, I think. So even if you situate this within the Mountain Time Zone movies, though, it's very hermetic. Like you see some shots in like a town, you know, where you see like Chris and Samantha leaving like a coffee shop, and you're like, all right, so there's like,
thank you.
Civilization is out there, but the rest of it is just within, like it's either on the mountain or in one or two spaces, like within the lodge or an office or whatever. And so even saying that this happens within the same universe where a Denver bookstore boss would go bonkers or where there's a minor league hockey team playing doesn't feel quite right.
No, that's fair. And so this is why I thought of it as filler. So I automatically thought, episode 29, I coach Peace of Mind Barton when we watched Sari from 30 Rock and Love on the Slopes. I'm like, okay, so that resort will be where she tried out this technology before. Or the weird resort. I mean, I assume these resorts also have their own in-house seismographers who are talking to everybody else. But like Royal Rumspringa and the Denver of the Soul, I don't know what episode that is, but it's very good. But yeah, like for the same reason, like those all took place in little snow globe realities. Like the one with Sari tried to pretend that she was a journalist, but I think her cover story for a glossy Condé Nast thing was like a single page, double spaced. Maybe it was 2 pages, but that was it. So like it wasn't really taking place anywhere real either. But like you could connect anywhere that snowed a lot and had a mountain.
Yeah, so it's within a sort of a climatological zone of the
biome.
Uncanny Valley.
Yeah.
Yes, but that's about the most you can say for it.
The Uncanny Biome.
Yeah, it's nice to think about. Wonderful place to visit. Also, there's a chance that you might get trapped there
Forever. Why don't you move here? Why don't you change your whole life to be here? We just kissed.
Wouldn't that be nice? Wouldn't you like to have hot cocoa all the time?
Yeah.
No one ever tells you when to go to bed.
Would you like to talk to me while your head is directly between the words pillow and talk on the Pillow Talk street sign?
Yeah.
In my office?
What's going on in there?
Would you steal that from Andy Lack's office? Jesus.
First time Andy Lack has, I believe, been mentioned in here.
It's about time.
Yep. Been getting away with it for too long.
He's had it coming. Speaking of the uncanny biome of dramaturgy or the human heart, let's talk about Overdetermined. It eschewed the familiar formula. We didn't get a proper mid-episode 45-minute trauma swap. We did get it about 5 minutes from the ending, but that's because Chris is a fucking child.
Yes. Simply cannot admit until literally his life and someone else's life is in danger why he's been such a turd about science for the entire movie. The answer being, science killed my wife.
Yes, the mother was killed by science. Science! Like, that's what I wrote.
I was going to say.
And
Science!
that is the most overdetermined thing. I mean, like, I was so certain the minute we saw, I mean, I knew he was a widower. Like, just there's no chance he's not. The way he was presented. I know that we've had divorced people for a couple years now, but this was already such a throwback. I was like banging the bottoms of my fists on the table. Like, instead of teeth, I'm just going, widow.
Yeah.
Sorry. I just realized actually what I should have been thinking the entire time, which was dead mom.
Yup. the Jay Cutler don't care. Also a Mountain Time Zone guy. It's all coming together.
Yes. Yes.
But yes, there is in this, like, and again, like, it's a Hallmark movie, right? Like, I'm not expecting the sort of thing where you're just like, damn, it's Christopher Nolan's most provocative vision yet. Like, it's annoying to be this far ahead of a movie. They show you a picture of Regan, who is his late partner and was, you know, a legend on the mountain. The first time you see her, you know what role she has in the movie. And you don't need to be a fucking Hallmark movie expert like you or me. You have to just understand the law, what Roger Ebert called the law of economy characters. You wouldn't be shown the picture otherwise. We're all adults here. Get on with it. Like, the idea of, like, slow rolling the revelation that this guy was married to someone who died on the mountain is, like, it's the only character attribute that he has beyond being a pud at meetings.
Yes, exactly.
Like, so let's get a move on. Every
time they mention Regan, or something that is a pronoun for her or a metonym for her, there should be that pregnant trill on the piano that happens in Frisky Dingo every time the millionaire playboy's dead parents and his orphandom come up.
Stan, I was avenging the untimely deaths of my murdered parents. Who were murdered.
Yes, but...
Stan, hang on. Telephone. I'm blowing up here. Go time.
It's just that much. And so the fact that you immediately have Heather comment to Chris on who you know this is, right? She's unaware, but this is the first thing that happens. And she says,
I was just admiring this photo. Isn't it epic?
It is an epic photo. Let's describe the epic photo. It's a lady in ski goggles on a mountain.
Yeah.
Standing still.
You wouldn't expect to see a lady with ski goggles. I mean, what are the odds?
I mean, that's the bit that I thought was most epic about it. Did you have something else that you thought was epic about the pic, or was that?
I don't know. I kind of thought the pic was epicer than her description. Like, there was so much epicry in it that I was like,
yes,
this is exactly what I want a dead person I love referred to as, whether it is epic win, good sir, or not.
The idea of losing your wife in a tragic avalanche accident is so much win.
Oh my God, dude. You are crushing widower right now. And you know what you're doing? You're serving grief.
Yep. What was the thing, the Fave Star guys? What was it, cups that they would give each other?
Yes. I give you the cup of the day for the tweet of the day.
So definitely awarding the cup of the day to Chris for the tragic loss of his wife on the mountain. It just, in general, there's a lot of stuff that I think that bit was just like a thing that would necessarily be in a Hallmark movie that took 3 times longer to unfold than it ordinarily does. Of the other sort of like over determinacy / like ham-handedness stuff, there's a lot of the stuff that doesn't work in this is shit that should be like comic and fizzy but is not.
Yes.
So like a lot of like mistaken identity type stuff, like Chris picking up a burger for his daughter, referring to her as his date, and Heather just assuming that he means Sonya by that.
Yeah.
Like that's one of those things where they're kind of doing like a who's on first type thing there, where he's like, oh, I didn't realize that you like something, you know, your date, I just met her. Like, oh, I know her quite well. Like if anyone says the name of the person and it's the name of the 11-year-old that he lives with as that's his daughter, then that scene ends. Keeping it going with zero fizz or comedy in it and nothing, you know, underscoring the comedic intent on the, you know, like filmically or on the soundtrack or whatever. You're just kind of, I was just tapping my wrist like Judge Judy Scheindlin, just being like, we need to move. I've got a movie to watch.
Yeah, and likewise, I think we should just move on from this segment because, like, I want to address this more, but this definitely also belongs in the Hallmark Voight-Kampff test, and there's no reason not to.
I know you respect the Hallmark Voight-Kampff test, but
well, I mean, in that case, it's the Hallmark Voight-Kampff test. And this is where we are administering a test from our listener, Josh Burgle. He basically said, is there a male lead in this movie who, if he found a tortoise on its back in the desert, wouldn't flip it over? He would instead just give it Christmas cookies. If you have one of those, you have a replicant. Is there a replicant in this? Yes, there is, David. His name is Chris.
Mm-hmm. It's a tough row to hoe when your male lead is a replicant.
Yes.
Obviously, Blade Runner made it work, you know, and that's fine. And I feel like if you know, Sir Ridley had gotten a crack at this one, maybe bigger budget, maybe Harrison Ford, like maybe it could work. He never behaves in a human-esque way. The bits where he is most replicant-esque are ones that were kind of load-bearing to the romance aspect of the plot, where they get the bit where they take a snowmobile trip to the secret spot on top of the mountain where he and his daughter go to have picnics, but Samantha wants them to go together. Sorry, Samantha wants them to go together.
Thank you.
So once they do a little bit of the sort of trauma swappage, and again, this is like 52 minutes into the movie, which
I think
is
it's later.
minutes
I think
long. It might be. So they get up there, and then it's like after they've done the thing where it's like, well, why are you so fucked up in your behavior, and like, why are you sad? Instantly him being like, so we can talk about other stuff. What is your favorite color?
Oh my God, yes.
Yeah, it's just like, yeah, all right, man. The game is tight. You're doing amazing right now.
Because they've committed to his being so traumatized from this, he behaves like the character had license once we just sort of process that to just not grow at all. So as you're watching it, you as an audience member are expecting him to grow at all. And instead, about a little after 45 minutes in, we get this exchange.
Like, you know how I feel.
Explain that to me again.
Like, I just don't need a scientist coming here to tell me how things work. I know.
You know.
Yeah.
With certainty.
That's right.
And you never get it wrong.
Nope.
Well, I guess there's no arguing with perfection.
Exactly.
Yep.
He does not give an inch in a way that is so charmless that it fundamentally belies what the movie is trying to do. Why would this woman get back together when a man only listens to her about something that she has legitimate expertise in after nearly causing multiple deaths by going with his gut? Like, if that's what it takes for him to grow up, right? And if that's what it takes for him to just say like a fundamental detail of his biography,
right,
there is so far to go for him to grow up. You have got to run away.
Yeah. Do not move to the mountain for this guy who just a few minutes earlier was like, well, I've never been wrong.
Yeah.
Like, get out of here.
Yeah.
I don't know that you can, again, we've talked about Stephen Huszar's performance. It's hard to grade. It has that kind of And again, this was like a common problem in a lot of the old Hallmark movies where it was like, well, I don't think I like Candace Cameron very much, but I can't tell you whether she's doing a good or a bad job because I don't think Julianne Moore could make this work.
Yeah.
You know, and in this case, it's like, there's just no bit of like charm or fizz or good looks or whatever that you could bring to a character like this because there's just nothing there. There's nothing to hang your hat on.
Right. So just to give you a little behind the scenes detail, 2-time guest on the show, Meredith Clark, and I like I don't want to say like bait, I don't know, like entrap, coerce the other into watching truly poor media. She has a real like affinity.
Interesting that everything you said was a crime.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, look, is it on that level, David? Yes. So she's just interrupting because we decided to watch it at the same time. And like these messages are coming through from her. And I get like two, like these are not in the same sort of, second, but these are back to back chronologically things that she sent me about this movie. 1, this guy has not vaccinated his daughter. And then 2, don't you realize you're doing the exact same thing your dumb wife did? Because she did not check things. She like just looked at some prediction and then ignored the need to do that. And he's just falling into the exact same pattern. So again, like the only thing being vindicated is your disappointment in him by this ending.
Yep. It's funny. Like this is a dumb comparison. The book Moneyball is a business book, right? The version of Moneyball that Buttheads made up, that like Joe Morgan was upset about on TV for 10 years, is a completely different thing, which is basically like it's all gut, it's all how a guy looks in jeans, or it's a computer printout with a number on it and it tells you what's right. That's not the way that anyone has ever put any of these ideas into action in baseball or anywhere else. Like the idea is that like one bit of information informs another, you put them together. This movie exists within the Joe Morgan Moneyball universe in terms of how Chris engages with the idea of like an algorithm that didn't work that he blames for a thing means that all algorithms are not just suspect, but are to be disregarded, that they're potential killers. And he doesn't move at all off that position in the course of the movie. He realizes, that he was wrong about it one way or the other, but it isn't like he does not evince an ability to learn.
Right. How can you start a life with a man where a fundamental question is how many more lives need to be lost for you to realize that you were wrong a second time?
Yeah. And it's a number. It's not 0. It's some number above 0.
Okay. So speaking of potential victims, it's great moments in Moppetry. And this is one where we're going to evaluate the presence of Samantha in the movie.
Samantha.
Thank you. On a scale of 1 Curly Sue, like the cover of the film Curly Sue, to 5 Curly Sues. So you can imagine that the level of precocity and like kind of inherent to a 5. I feel like this is one that only dipped up to a 2 once, but otherwise is pretty great. And you seem to like her too.
She's good. So an interesting thing about the actress Amelie Wolf is that her mom directed this movie. It is Christy Will Wolf, who we can talk about later, but has directed other Hallmark movies that we've watched. She's a former actress and model, but has done like interesting work. Now just makes 3 Hallmark movies a year. I think it's cool that she is good. I would say that if you told me that a Hallmark director was putting their child in a film, I would expect some number of Curly Sues. Like it would be like a comically oversized clip on a Tommy gun blasting out Curly Sue images.
Yeah.
But in this case, she's very natural and very good. And the script does not do her any favors. She's got to do a lot of like kind of parent trappy, winky twinkling type stuff. But she's excellent. The kid herself is very charismatic and holds her own.
Yeah, you can see with the material that she has to get over that this could have been bad, like such that I think that the material on the page, if you had sort of delivered it in a Siri voice, even it would have been like a 3 just because of how load bearing it is. So we get her as the first and last person to shut down Sonya when she just worms her way into their lives. So about 33 minutes in, we get...
Hello? Sonya.
I'm so sorry to just barge in here like this, but I didn't know who else to call.
Dad, who's that?
Hey, Samantha, do you remember me? We met earlier this year at the salon when you were getting your hair cut. Oh, right. Yeah, you were getting some fake lashes put on, I think, right?
Fake lashes. Kids these days. No, sweetheart. I was getting a holistic hot oil treatment put on them.
So, Sonya, how can we help you?
Oh, my heat's out and I can't get a hold of my landlord, so...
Oh, that's terrible.
Yeah, anywho, I didn't know who to call as my sister's phone is off, and obviously I can't sleep at home tonight.
Did you call a friend?
Which your dad is.
That's a goodly bit.
Yeah.
And then she also does a very good job of dismissing her just a short bit later when we get into Hallmark's inaugural use of plumper, which I had always believed ultimately would belong to a beef frank.
Yes.
So we have...
This is the best hot dog. This hot dog's so good in the rain.
You put lipstick on before bed? I've never seen that before.
It's called plumper.
Plumper?
Makes your lips look fuller.
Oh.
If you have flat lips, you put it on and voila. Here, let's try some on you.
Is it a chemical?
I don't know. And who cares? In the name of beauty, let's do it all, am I right?
I think my lips are okay, actually. I don't want it.
I have an even better idea. Let's give you a full makeover, go totally glam, every girl's desire.
Thanks, but no thanks. Oh, and the couch is all made up.
Yep.
I mean, the implicit bye.
You put lipstick on before bed. I've never seen that. Is pretty good.
Yes.
And then, yes, she does hit a bye on her, which is solid.
She handles tough material, but that's overt. And then she's also doing a really good job with this sort of passive construction to the end of the scene of just like, gotta go.
Yep.
But ultimately, the biggest challenge is when she shuts down Sonya at the end. It's just after the gala where Chris's services as like a guide to, you know, the back trail stuff of the mountain has been auctioned off, and he's dancing with Heather, and Sonya approaches, and she just gives her like the strumpet treatment with both barrels.
Hi, Sonya.
Hey, Samantha, isn't it past your bedtime?
Remember that night I needed to talk to my dad, and you said now's not the best time?
I do.
Well, that was actually really good advice, so I'll return the favor. Tonight is an important night. My dad is having fun with someone smart who uses chapstick over plumper. Now is not the best time.
Well, you tell your dad we have a lot to talk about.
I'm sure you do.
Boom.
Devastating.
Right?
Yeah.
That's just
fatality.
Right? It's a flex bomb, fatality, everything that you could think of. That's just like
Sub-Zero.
Ring the damn bell.
Poor Sonya has that's a tough road to hoe in this one. She doesn't get to be nice, and she does get owned by a child a number of times.
At least she gets closure, though. Like, sister is just like, by the way, you are not pregnant. It was just like, here's your Maury moment, struck out. Good night, right? And there's somebody strutting in the background while the security guy looks on.
Yeah, Sonya gets a chance to go back out there and refine her beauty regimen and live her life.
So, aside from potentially the screenwriter or whoever punched this up and fit it into atavistic Hallmark mode, who would you say is the real villain? I couldn't tell you who the plot thinks the villain is besides Sonya, or what the plot thinks the villain is besides Sonya, because I was too busy making lists of villains. I have so many answers, but what do you have? I mean, like, I might take one of yours away. I think I have 4.
So I'm interested in hearing your 4. I sort of struggled with it. I think that the answer that I have, which is kind of sarcastic, is those who do not avail themselves of avalanche protection best practices in a mountain setting.
That is absolutely correct. Yes.
The movie is never more passionate than when it is taking a break from its fucking rinky-dink phoned-in rom-com plot to walk viewers through the ways in which dogs assist people in avalanche rescues, and also just dispensing some useful facts in terms of what is likely to happen if you're in an avalanche. How long will you be buried? How will you be buried? What are your chances if you've been buried for longer than 10 minutes? Should you carry a transceiver? All of that stuff is in here. You wouldn't think there'd be room for it, but there absolutely is. And so I think that wilderness safety is the movie's true passion, right down to the dedication at the end of it.
So, but that would be inherent to the plot. That is right on, unless this is a category where it can't be something that was intentional, in which case maybe mine count too. So the ones I had were false binaries, which is like the Moneyball false binary.
Yep.
Misplaced blame.
Yep.
Science didn't kill your wife. And the last one, and this is me poaching from Defector's Albert Bernico, mistaking being a dumbass for skepticism.
Yeah. This is not a reasoned response on Chris's part. It is literally like, when I see numbers, it reminds me of the worst thing that ever happened to me. When I see a Microsoft Surface in someone's hand, I assume that they're going to try to kill my loved one with it.
Oh, here we go again.
Well, yeah, that part's tough. It's tough.
So I suppose we should rate the movie. And if you've listened to more than a few of these, you already probably know pretty well this is a 5-star rating system. 5 stars could be a family movie. 4 stars could be the juiciest taco, which we named after the best food you can get in a park, in a very, very wet park in Vermont. 3 stars, there are some solids. 2 stars, this is very soft cheese. 1 star, this is sugary and extremely wet. And the sweetness of those categories, I think, belies the fact that, like, I'm rating this very low because it's just pointlessly mean in parts that are like about 1/2 of the only couple that you need to be sympathetic to.
Yeah. Yeah. The stuff that works in the movie is not anything that has to do with the leads. Basically, not a single moment of that works.
Yeah.
There is enough stuff in it. So I gave it 1.5, which maybe is higher than you are going, but it is. There's some stuff. I like the kids' performance. I thought that there were some kind of, weirdly, I thought that the avalanche-safety stuff was kind of like interesting. Like, it was very poorly done, like to the point where it kind of felt like there were maybe non-actors involved.
Yes.
I think there probably were, but it was so strange to see it in the film, and it was like really trying to kind of like add value, that like the failure of the central, romantic comedy part of the movie was pretty total. But there was enough extra weird shit in it that, like, while I didn't necessarily enjoy watching the movie, I was confused by it in a way that felt newish to me.
I think the beneficial or creditable parts of it that you're talking about seem of a piece with what we were talking about with the one where the Almost Famous of brain cancer.
Oh, yeah.
Where they're stuck on the train or the bus or whatever, the bus.
Mm-hmm.
It's just about modeling good behavior. I think this was, here's how we can model some safe behavior. And maybe the national parks were like, okay, you just have to make that part of the plot if you want to shoot here.
Yeah.
More or less for free. But like, I guess, again, they shot at Whistler. So maybe the Canadian government put that provision in. Like, if it's this much instructional, then you get to not pay this much.
I love that idea, that it's basically all of that stuff is in there so that for like tax reasons.
Yeah.
The idea being like, if you can put enough in this that we can sell it as an instructional film, you basically can't lose money on the project.
Yes, exactly. So I wound up with 2 or 1.5. I don't know. Let's 1.5.
Yeah.
For the same reasons. I liked one thing really, which was the footage, the stock footage and the daughter.
Yeah.
And then everything else, I was just like, I find all of you so off-putting.
I do agree about the stock footage. It's nothing special. I mean, like, I don't know, not everybody knows this. There's people that are new to the podcast. Like, Jeb and I watched Hot Dog the movie, all right? We know a little bit about watching a movie where people ski in it, all right? It's not my first fucking barbecue. But the skiing is not that skiing, but it reminded me, I was talking to my wife about this, that, like, it took me back to the movie Love on Iceland, which we watched at a very low ebb of the pandemic, like maybe like late spring 2020.
I think it was like April of 2020 or something like that.
Yeah. And that movie was not very good, but I remember we both were like, I like the parts where people were outside.
Yeah.
I liked it where they walked around. That was really good. I liked it where they were safe and having fun. Like, this is basically like, in this case, I just enjoyed watching people be in the mountains. Like, that is about the most that this movie has to offer you, is some cool drone shots of conifers with snow on them and then some skiing.
That was about it. And I did like the fact that, you would see these beautiful bits of stock footage and then they would cut to the bits where they're skiing along with the guy on the little, medical pallet on blades. And like, that's clearly shot at Whistler because it's just gray. Like the snow is already slightly yellowed. Like,
yeah, the cross country race between Sonya and Heather is the same sort of thing where you're just like, how did you find the one spot where there's like not enough snow? Like, I can tell that wherever you are, there's a lot of snow.
Yeah, I can tell that. Well, they're going by like office buildings or something in the back. Yes. Something that looks nothing like the hotel.
Yep.
Right. But that was,
I'm going to race you around this office park, and the winner gets to be with the surliest guy in town.
So I think we're moving into the leftovers, and I did want to open the leftovers by playing a clip. But before we get there, just because that's on that topic, one of the reasons why the sister, and maybe you could say that Heather is indulging her sister Riley in talking about swimmers and things, is because Riley was going to go to Maui instead of a fucking glacier, where it is pointed out that it's like 11 degrees.
Yeah,
and so like. We see them greet each other before going into the hotel. There's no breath. Then like the next scene we see of them outside, Riley is sitting there with a glass of iced tea, not wearing a lot of clothing, in an area that we have just found out was recently 11 degrees. And she's got the little like 180 degree tanning mirror that she's holding up. And like, that's not going to warm you enough.
The little Polly Walnuts thing where you like hold it under your chin outside the Bing or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Same thing.
Fantastic stuff.
And then, of course, then you'd see them actually skiing and you're like, that looks miserable.
Bad. Like, it's like skiing, like all the mountains where, like, I grew up in New Jersey, just artificial snow. You're going down a, like, somewhat small incline. Like, a child is crying nearby. It lacks some of the majesty. I feel like that's not what national parks would be selling necessarily, is like skiing in the backcountry. I'm sure you can do that in Glacier National Park, but like, I don't know. I feel like we're nitpicking here. We should get onto the extras.
Okay, so you mentioned it before. You felt that the instructional aspect of the film about avalanche safety may have included some people who actually do that from the Whistler National Park. I just want to play this, or I guess whatever Canada's national parks are called. National parks, I assume.
Yeah.
This clip of the 3 most Canadian people who have ever been on a Hallmark movie and who are also clearly not actors and were found recently on the mountain.
Yeah, I'll go first.
All right.
Well, I didn't grow up skiing or, out here in the mountains. So now that I'm out here, I feel like I need to gain some more knowledge and some more experience. So that's why I'm here.
Thank you.
Yeah, I have 2 daughters that were involved in an avalanche last year. My youngest had to dig out her older sister, who was buried up to her neck. Turned out okay. So I'm taking this course because I don't have that knowledge and I want to go skiing with them as a family.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, last season I broke both my ankles hitting the pyramid gap. Luckily, my friends were there, and they got me out of there safe and fast. I'm looking to do this course because I want to be there for them if the roles ever change.
Wow. Thanks for sharing. All really good reasons.
It's basically like, as a lifelong Maple Leafs fan, I thought it was my duty. What if Austin Matthews was out there?
Ever since the Nordiques left, I've been getting outside.
Yep. Yeah. Again, it's one of those things that like could have been interesting to a certain extent and was not. But
no.
What are you going to do? So one bit that I wanted to flag here, and I don't know to what extent this is me misunderstanding something. Person's name does not appear in the credits. So at the gala, when the auction is done and they're getting ready to dance, there's a woman sitting behind a keyboard.
Yes.
And the introduction that she gets from Eric. Did you clip this?
I did not, but I will play it.
All right. So he tells everybody,
okay, time for the fun to begin. So everyone grab yourself a drink and enjoy the sweet sound from the beautiful, talented Melvin.
And then Melvin plays like just the Sarah McLachlan song from the You Should Adopt an Abused Animal commercial. Like it's just playing In the Arms of an Angel while everybody slow dances. And honestly, like Melvin sounds great. I don't want to take anything away from Melvin, but it was, I have a couple of names that are always kind of funny for me, but the idea of like a dramatic lead up to being like, it's what you've been waiting for. Are y'all ready for Melvin? That really landed for me very well.
Maybe it's because when we were kids, like people would claim that like a Melvin was a distinct thing from a wedgie.
Yes, it was.
And it was pejorative enough. Like, when Lisa Simpson is trying to be Little Miss Springfield and she does her little Tina Turner dance routine. Like before that, she says, like some people may think that patriotism is And she rolls out like a list of derogatory terms. And then the last one she has is real Melvin. So maybe it's that. Maybe it's just like at this point it's just coded that way. Because at one point, like, where is it Melvin? Is it straight up like a wedgie, or is it straight back so it smashes your balls? I mean, I don't know. I've heard both. And then real Melvin.
It's a regionalism. It depends where in the country you're receiving that experience.
It's more of a Utica experience.
Yeah, I was going to say, right. In North Jersey, we called it an Angelo.
Angelo?
Oh, no.
Okay. So give me something else that you have that's leftover wise. You do something that makes you happy.
All right. Well, there's not a whole lot to find in the old IMDb dive here. I have already revealed that Amelie Wolf is the daughter of the director. We've talked about the director in the past. She has directed Sebastian Stan in a movie, or however you say his last name, Stan. Mm-hmm. So that's something that she's got going for her. The one bit that I want to flag, and I think we have talked about this too, is that Stephen Huszar, who is now a fairly prolific Hallmark guy, also is in 12 episodes of Letterkenny. Like, he's got to be better than this. Like, he's guested in every one of the shows that gets made in Canada, including So Help Me Todd, which Sonya was also in. He broke up his streak of Hallmark movies, of which he makes a few a year, with a 2019 remake of David Cronenberg's Rabid, in which all of the male leads are just Hallmark guys. So you've got, it's like pretty gnarly seeming. We probably have talked about it, but Benjamin Hollingsworth and Stephen Huszar, who are both Hallmark dudes, and then Mackenzie Gray, who was a royal in that one that we were talking about that was like a royal ice skating Christmas at the mountain, like that one, whatever that was. All those people are in it. So real nice to think about the fact that you could just make a Cronenberg movie in 2019, and in order to achieve the tax benefits of making a film in Canada, just stuff that shit with Hallmark dudes.
So, okay, now I don't worry too much about potentially bringing down the room. So another name thing that was weird for me was they kept calling it Mount Fernie or Mount Forney. And I really hated that they called it Mount Forney, because that made me think of the sex tourist, Matt Forney, who was
Matt Forney.
Yeah, at one point, I don't know.
Friend of the pod.
At one point, a white supremacist of middling note.
Yes.
Who's now an apostate white supremacist of middling note, and also still a sex tourist.
Also one of those guys that, like, when Elon slammed open the fucking Ghostbusters containment tank and just put every turd that had ever been flushed from Twitter back onto it, Forney was the guy that, like, when I saw someone responding to a post of his, I was like, we've all agreed not to do this anymore.
Yeah.
This was not a controversial one. Everyone was kind of like, well, I think it's time for Matt Forney to leave the party. The idea that we've somehow rocketed backwards to a time when I knew who Matt Forney was and had seen like multiple videos of him crying. Right. We don't need to do that again.
Was he crying because someone had made fun of his friend Bronan the Barbarian?
It was something like that. It was, and also I think it was like a cop had made fun of him or something. Like, it was like one of those things.
No, that was one of the guys from, or maybe he got ridiculed by a cop too. I think the one you're thinking of is whatever the Breitbart guy was who had the Al Bundy.
Oh,
or
yes.
Daily Caller guy who had the Al Bundy avatar on Twitter for a long time.
Yeah.
And who like spammed me and people who replied to me like 231 times in 5 days.
Yeah.
Because I made fun of the fact that he got pulled over and wound up crying and the cops made fun of him.
Yes, I do remember that dude now.
Like somebody who can override by like under no circumstances should you empathize or agree with the behavior of the policeman. Like,
yeah, like this was sometimes you do got to hand it to him. Like if they pull over the fucking Al Bundy guy and while reaching for his registration, he farts really loud and they comment on it, the cops are in the right there.
Anyway, that's a great preview for what you can hear on the bonuses if you go to patreon.com/thisweekinAtrocity.
It's all Matt Forney stuff.
Do you remember Twitter from 11 years ago? Well, you're in luck.
Yep.
I have one last thing I want to note about this film, David, if you have nothing more.
We should just wrap it up, I think.
Okay. The thing I wanted to note was that it was made in loving memory of all outdoor enthusiasts who left us too soon.
That is the dedication over the end credits, only in the fact that it is phrased the way it is and placed where it is, reminiscent of the bit at the end of Rambo 3, where the movie is dedicated to the Mujahideen fighting to free Afghanistan.
And the movie was released like 3 weeks after Afghanistan finally repelled the Red Army for good.
Don't know what happened after that.
No.
I'm assuming everything was fine.
All that small arms and anti-aircraft weapons training that the CIA gave them really paid off.
Who's to say how?
The great thing is I'm not culpable. It's Charlie Wilson's fault. Go on.
That's true. Yeah. There's a whole other movie about that. One bit that I want to add to the end of this. The national parks are cool, right? Like, we're in agreement on that.
Yeah.
The idea of this movie feeling antique in the way that like spy movies about like competent, dedicated spies now feel antique, it's a bad feeling. I think that even if this movie had been better, there would have been something melancholy about seeing this mountain with all these dedicated people on it, trying to keep it safe and usable and open to everybody, all of whom deserve to have fun on it. Seeing that movie from 2023 and knowing that in 2025, all of those people have been furloughed or all but one, making the job impossible. Maybe that's my fault for paying too much attention to what's going on in the world. I think it would have been a bummer, though, no matter what.
I don't want to owe this movie my gratitude or respect, and I resent that real life circumstances have ennobled the purpose of this movie rather than letting us all focus on what a botched execution it was.
Yes, absolutely true. Another thing that we can put on the Doge's side of the register for when the truth and reconciliation process begins.
Merry Christmas, David.
Merry Christmas to all.
This episode of the That's What She Said Guide to Sex was executive produced by Mac Mashburn, Big Joe D, and all our friends down at the Jasper Group LLC, and by you, the Patreon donor, in conjunction with Vigorous Marvin. Vigorous Marvin, the beautiful, talented Marvin. Special thanks today to Drew Fairweather, a.k.a. Crudbump, for our theme music, and to Chris Collingwood of Look Park and Fountains of Wayne for all the rest, except where specified in the show notes. Like, subscribe, rate, and review us. It helps people find the show, and follow us on Blue Sky at itschristmastown.bsky.social. And as I'm sure you've heard from many other podcasts, the best way to get people to listen is personal connections and personal recommendations. So please buttonhole that friend in real life or on social media and tell them how much they ought to give it a shot. Last but not least, for over 80 hours of bonus material, including Fever Dream, our public health breakdown, and a day's worth of Hallmark podcasts, plunk down 10 cents per day at patreon.com/thisweekinatrocity. Thanks for listening. Merry Christmas, and talk to you soon.
It's not Hallmark Hall of Fame. It's not Hall of Fame. It's not that high quality. There's a Hall of Very Good. If there's a Hallmark Hall of Very Good, sure.
Fucking thing sucks!